So, before starting the one-to-one interaction, first of all, on the behalf of entire team of Eninrac, I would like to thank you for providing us the opportunity and being so considerate to give your precious time to have this one-on-one interactive session uh, and to share, your viewpoints on the vision you carry for transforming Madhya Pradesh into India's leading clean energy efficient state. So, just to give you a peripheral overview of what interactions we are going to have further. So, the this session would primarily focus upon MP's journey so far, per se energy sector, some of the few details upon key marquee projects that are under construction in the state or maybe under implementation. What are the strategic expansion plans for the green energy portfolio mix in the years to come in the state? Then your take on development of new energies such as hydrogen, battery energy storage, and how Madhya Pradesh is taking manufacturing opportunities, how MP is taking or how MP is thinking of becoming a manufacturing hub for these new energies or green energy segment, including solar panels, cells, wafers, or maybe WTG parts, electrolyzers, etc. And the investment attractiveness of the state regards emerging as a green energy hub in India. So your valuable feeds would be required on these segments. Uh, so as I've already told you the agenda, that the agenda basically is of this discussion is transforming the state of Madhya Pradesh into a green energy hub in India. So, sir, our first question to you is, how has been the transformation of energy sector in the state of Madhya Pradesh, and over the past decade, what has been the critical role of green energy in it?
If you see energy intensity or the energy consumed by citizens of Madhya Pradesh, we were one of those laggard states in terms of its consumption. So over the period of time, government has taken initiatives of ensuring that there is 24 by 7 energy supply to all the consumers and 10 hours of dedicated supply to the agricultural feeders. Because of which there has been a growth, and now we are almost at par with the national average of energy consumption per capita. With the growth in the demand, there is always an additional requirement of generation capacities. One way of addressing that could have been that we could have established conventional energy sources and would have generated the energies. But Madhya Pradesh very interestingly thought that whatever new capacities we have to generate, they should be as far as possible taking into account the grid stability, taking into account assurance of 24 by 7 supplies, and also the tariff that would get to be paid to the developers. We have to have a bouquet of our generating capacities generated, and that is how you would see that Madhya Pradesh has increased its renewable energy portfolio by 12 times in last one decade. If you see, the growth in energy is about 6 to 7% CAGR on a yearly basis. So whatever additional capacities is coming, it is coming essentially from renewable energy sources. And Madhya Pradesh has been fortunate in terms of having a huge solar potential as well as the wind potential. So if you see the renewable energy capacity is getting generated, essentially it is wind plus solar. And because of which we have been successfully able to do this. Now with the increased renewable energy capacity, you have to be prepared enough to see that this power is evacuated, because the major bottleneck is transmission infrastructure, and RE potential can get developed very quickly. In additional renewable energy capacities creation is that you have to have infrastructure in place to evacuate this power. And as you would notice that renewable energy generation capacities can get developed over a period of 2 years, while the evacuation capacities, that is transmission infrastructure, takes even 5 years to 7 years. So one has to plan the evacuation infrastructure prior to the planning of creating a generation capacity, and that is what we have been very careful about, that wherever we are thinking that from 2 years down the line we would be able to start commissioning our generation capacities, we would have our transmission network created. So the resourcing of the potential areas, how do we evacuate the potential, and then how do we evacuate that power to which of those consuming areas that we have, and also to see that we are not only serving our Madhya Pradesh citizens but also serve other parts of the country. So if I would say that we are one of those states which are supplying power to Delhi Metro, Indian Railways from renewable energy sources which are getting generated here. So the structuring to see that which kind of consumers would have a requirement for this. And now we are looking at another area where now the industry are trying to become green, whether it is data centers or whether it is huge energy guzzler industries. They all want to transmit themselves to a green energy consuming industry. So we are looking at those consumers which can be supplied energy from the generated potential of Madhya Pradesh. So overall, if you see, we have tried looking at a situation whereby we are trying not only to increase our consumption but also to take care of it mostly by renewable energy sources, and to plan in advance that we have everything in place as and when we decide to go along based on the requirement and the demand.
So, sir, as we learned from you that, I mean, a lot of work is being done on the RE part. I mean, encouraging new energy portfolio or encouraging the renewable energy portfolio in the state. A well-rounded 360-degree approach is being taken care of. I mean, covering almost all the value chain of clean energy space. So, I mean, what MP is thinking in terms of expansion of thermal generation or thermal power capacities. So, are we totally going to, I mean, have 100% RE portfolio in coming, I mean, 10 to 20 years, or maybe there will be a 50-50 ratio, or I mean there will be a 70-30 ratio, less of thermal, more of renewable, or maybe all the renewable, how it is going to be?
The reality is that we will have to live with thermal for some time. Yeah. You have a base load requirement and it is growing, by the way. So it's not as if that it is a stationary and whatever additional capacities are required, it's not the base load. So if you see the trajectories nationally and state-wise also, the base load requirement is increasing. Now, base load can be taken care of by the nuclear or by the thermal. There is no other way. Peaking load you can take care by the hydel, and renewable, the variability and intermittency is the keyword. So what you have to look at is essentially that you have to go to a certain extent for thermal also, and that is where I am saying that we are also adding on the capacities, right, but they are much more efficient. So ultra super critical units are what we are looking at. We are not even happy with super critical units. We are looking at ultra super critical units so that you have less of a carbon footprint. But you can't suddenly tell the people that no, you can't have a power because we are only looking at renewable energy sources. What we are saying that yes, whatever Panchamrit has been given or has been spoken about by the Prime Minister of India, we actually continue to comply with it. But energy security is an issue as is an issue energy sustainability. So in our mind, we are very clear that energy security takes precedence over sustainability without being oblivious of the requirement of the sustainability factor. So we will continue to add, and it will require some days, some years maybe to have this. But as the storage technology matures and it becomes permissible to have the storage combination with renewable energy sources, we will gradually be scaling down our operations. So all those units which are coming to end of their life cycle, they will not be then taken up.
So, sir, we all know that the leadership of the Honorable Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Shri Shivraj Chauhan Singh Ji, has been instrumental the initiatives that he has taken for transforming the power sector, overall energy sector in the state has been brilliant. So, sir, we would like to know, I mean, could you please enumerate or elaborate some of the key initiatives that have been taken by him to uh, to scale up the energy sector of Madhya Pradesh over the past so many years?
His basic premise and the basic message that he has given to us is that follow the 5 principles which the Honorable Prime Minister has given, Panchamitra, and which means that you have to have by 2030 you should be in position to have 50% of your energy coming from renewable sources. You should be net zero by 2070. You should be able to achieve grid stability with all your resources coming by 2050. So these are the things that he has told us, and it's not only the slogans that he has given it to us, but he has also spoken about creating green cities, creating green villages, creating green buildings, all of these in place so that we create islands of examples that yes, this is possible and doable, and that too with a tariff which is within the hands of people. So when you talk about these, it is not only that you just talk about these slogans, but you actually implement it. And the commitment is that we have been able to develop the first solar city of the country called Sachi without any additional support being given from any sources, whether it is central government or state government. We either worked on PPP, we worked on CSR, we worked on ISR, but we have never accessed any of the other funds. And we are keen to develop more such cities. 5 cities are in work in progress. 4 of them are very important in terms of tourist attractions, which is Khajuraho, Orcha, Omkareshwar, Mandu. And the 5th one is a large city called Indore, because we want to make it as first big large city, which is not only the cleanest city but also the greenest city in the country. So that is where we have worked. We are working. We have mapped each rooftop of Indore to see and assess the potential of solar rooftop being established. We are working on virtual net metering, which will which would be another area where we will be able to have contributions from the citizens who does not have a rooftop, but they can have a contribution in terms of this. And because of this, and finally, all those public utilities which require to have electrification, they can be on a off-grid kind of a model. So the model is getting developed. Surveys have been conducted. Initial level talks are being done, so as to ensure that we have sufficient interest of the industry, of the citizens, and of the governments to come forward and be the partner in this. The second aspect that he talks about is reducing the consumption. So he talks about energy conserving buildings. He talks about, and Madhya Pradesh incidentally is one of the first few states which have enacted their ECBC rules, which says that if you have more than 100 kilowatt of a load and you are a commercial or a building which has other than the residential purposes, then you have to, by enactment of this, you have to have a green building concept. So you have to take advantage of weather, you have to take advantage of day sunlight, you have to take advantage of wind flow, so as to minimize the consumption of or by the building itself. So we have enacted, and how we are implementing it, that anybody who comes for the passage or for applies for building permission, that triggers that our renewable energy department gets to know that here is a building which is coming up and has a potential of having consumption of 100 kilowatt and more. And from there on, the renewable energy department gets in touch with the developer or the builder of that building and tells them that these are the norms that you need to follow, and if you do this, here is your payback period. So we are not only suggesting or trying to regulate them, but we are also giving them the ideas that yes, it makes sense for you to go for a green building. So that is how we are trying to do this. That was the second thing that he is looking at, that let us try and reduce these consumption. And the last thing that he talks about is making everybody energy literate. So you have a lot of things, and Madhya Pradesh has a unique program called USHA, which says Urja Saksharta. So Urja Saksharta is energy literates. So we have a course which is 12 module course. Each module lasts for about 20 minutes. So it's a video which talks about multiple things, tries and invokes your curiosity about usage of renewable energy. And from there on, a person would have to pass an examination of each module. So, and there are set of questions which will be randomly thrown to him, and he has to secure at least 80% marks, and then only he jumps to the second module. And after each 3 sets of a module, he gets a certificate that you have completed the first batch of your energy literacy program
By the energy department.
by the energy department. So after these 12 modules getting completed, he gets a certificate or she gets a certificate where they can say that yes, they are aware of how to conserve electricity. So how to use renewable energy sources, how do you minimize your other usage, when do you use it, how. So all of this is talked about in that particular videos which have been, again, it's been supported by IIT Mumbai. One of the professors there, Mr. Chetan Solanki, he does this, and he has done it for us. So he's our brand ambassador who has created these videos in which we do it. So the idea is you ensure that you have sufficient generation of renewable energy sources with a minimal tariff without impacting the procurement cost. You also minimize the consumption points and also make the people aware of it. So this is what it is, and we are creating buzz around the situations. We are creating examples where people can have faith that yes, this is doable. So Sachi is one, Omkareshwar floating solar is another. Now we are looking at a hybrid development of a hybrid park, which is wind plus solar with a storage, and storage is technology agnostic, and wind can be anywhere in the country, and the solar will be at the location that we have identified, and we'll provide them the land. So these are the unique models that we are trying to develop. We have another models that we have developed to minimize our cost is like partnering with Punjab. For 6 months, Punjab would schedule this power. For remaining 6 months, when we have a more demand, we will do it. So we are the only state who have initiated this. We went to SECI and told them that this is what we want to do. So we are doing solar and wind projects in such a way that for 6 months, Punjab gets benefited. So they are free from fixed cost when they don't have a requirement, while we are free for fixed cost for 6 months when we don't have a requirement. Similarly, we are working with UP for a pumped hydro storage. Again, this is again on a complementarity basis that for 6 months they will schedule this power of storage from pumped hydro storage, and for 6 months we will do that. So these are the models that we have gone beyond, and there are no standard bidding documents for this. So we have developed these standard bidding documents, talked to the investors, thought about their concerns, tried assuaging their fears, how is it going to happen, building in the security mechanism that if one of those procurers fail, how do they get supported. So all of this has been very, very interestingly drafted. Bid is out for the second one because it's with the ERC that we have applied. Once they give the clearance, the bid is ready. We should be good to go and do this. So Madhya Pradesh is experimenting with multiple things at one particular point of time. We are not happy with simple vanilla solar projects which most of the states are doing. Right. Zameen de dijiye aur boliye aaiye aap laga lijiye. What is new in it? What is it that the states are doing? Why are we not thinking beyond this? So if you have to have a grid stability, you have to have a combination of this without burdening the states. Because RE being a must-run status, you can't back down your power. So you have to schedule as much as you can. And the more you bank, as of now, the cost is high. So let us minimize the requirement for banking.
So, sir, as Energy and New and Renewable Energy Department of MP has been, an enabler for channelizing the energy transition of the state under your able leadership. So, our next question to you is, according to you, what has been the key focus areas for the Energy Department to drive this said transformation? And we believe that you might have faced certain challenges. So, what are those?
One of the challenges that I encountered, and incidentally, I take care of both the departments, which is energy as well as renewable energy. Yeah. is that there is a lot of synergy in these two. Earlier, what used to happen is that energy department always used to consider renewable energy department as something who is going to snatch their bread and run away with it. The idea is that when we talk about energy, we cannot be categorizing and compartmentalizing it into two different parts, where we say that it is renewable energy and it is conventional energy. What we have thought is, let us first try and focus on the loss reduction. In energy sector, if you see, when I took over, it was 44% of our losses that we were having in our distribution network. We have brought it down to 17% in 3 years' time, which is phenomenal in terms of, and it is acknowledged by the government of India on multiple occasions. The only state which has shown such a sharp decline in the losses is Madhya Pradesh. One is that we already had very high losses. So one was that let us try and conserve energy. Energy loss is a loss to the distribution company, and if they don't become sustainable enough, they will not be able to secure the power. So one was the loss reduction. Second was when we talk about energy, renewable energy sources, we talk about mega projects, 1000 megawatt, 1500 megawatt, 20,000 megawatt of solar parks. Why are we not looking at the decentralized energy generations? So it's solar rooftop. It is Kusum A, B, and C, where you have grids which needs to be given this greening of these grids. So we have worked on these Kusum A and C in a large way, and you would be happy to note that now we have more than 100 megawatt, 120 megawatt in Kusum A, another 140 megawatt of Kusum C, which is under implementation. In next 6 months, I hope that I will be the biggest player in green energy as far as the greening of grids are concerned, agricultural grids are concerned. Because as of now, I am third. Rajasthan takes the lead, and then the Gujarat is there, Maharashtra is there. But the way we have designed, the way we have signed the PPAs, and the amount of work which is happening on the ground, within 6 months we'll surpass all these states, because we have been very, very positive about it. So far, the highest capacity that has got commissioned is in Rajasthan, which is 100 megawatt. We have already done about 20, and another few months we will have another 60 coming up, and then another more than 100 megawatt. So what we are looking at is that very soon you would see that Madhya Pradesh tops the list of decentralized energy generation as far as the greening of agriculture is concerned. And it is very, very crucial for us, because we have huge amount of energy load in terms of agricultural requirement. So if you see my base load, it hovers at around 9,000 megawatt, but my peak requirement goes to 18,000 to 20,000 megawatt. This additional incremental peak requirement comes from agricultural resources in the Rabi season. And if I am able to cater or green these grids, agricultural grids, what happens is that the farmer gets the benefit that he doesn't have to toil itself in the winter season watering their fields. So they get the energy in the daytime, solar generates in the daytime, and they get about 10 hours of energy supply without having any losses, and I minimize my losses of doing this. So it's win-win situation for farmer, for us, and it's cheap power. So my transmission distribution losses get reduced, farmer gets the benefit. So given all this beneficial effects, we are going in a large way taking care of this greening of this. Then we have also one of those states who have done the demand side management. I don't know if you have heard of this or not, but what we do is, very interestingly, we shift our agricultural load during the daytime so as to match with the bell curve that gets generated of the solar. So what happens is, we have classified our feeders into A, B, and C. C are the feeders which actually overlap between A and B. So what happens is, you have a supply hours for A feeder. Then you have a supply hours for B feeders overlapping during that peak, and then you also have a C feeder. So for this, you have to plan transmission capacities. Simultaneously, if you have to run these feeders, you have to see that it is that the transmission capacity. So we have been able to shift our 2000 megawatt of a load to the solar hours to minimize my requirement during evening and morning peak. So this is a huge saving, because I am only getting power at 2 rupees 14 paisa. while I am scheduling this power otherwise at 7 rupees and other things. And as you would know that agricultural load agriculture is subsidized and agricultural energy is subsidized. So I want to minimize my losses. So what we have done is a demand side management and tried matching it with the solar requirements. Complementarity, I have already spoken to about Punjab and Uttar Pradesh and all those things. So that also further brings in a lot of savings for us. We have also been able to utilize our hydel power resources, and fortunately, we have a lot of hydel power resource. So, interestingly, I'll give you an example. In August month, when the whole country was reeling under a lot of energy scarcity, we ran our hydel projects 24 by 7. 24 by 7, knowing it fully well that we are not having enough water in our water tanks, because we wanted to monetize that and ensure that we have power available. So first we took care of our own requirements, and as and when there was a opportunity, we also sold it in the market at 10 rupees per unit. So people were saying that how is it that you are going to manage your requirement later in the year? And I had a lot of faith on River Narmada Ji, and I said she'll take care of it. The weather God will shower his blessings. And as you would say, my all water bodies now are full tank. I have scheduled power for last 1 month from them, and been able to minimize my thermal generations and being able to take a very, very cheap power source from this, not letting the flow coming out of the gates as far as possible. There are possibilities where the gates have to be opened, but minimizing that gates open so that whatever water is coming in is being utilized. And incidentally, I don't know whether you have noticed it in Madhya Pradesh, we have series of dam on river Narmada. So my generation happens at multiple. The same water is utilized to have generation at multiple resources. So Bargi is first, then you have Indra Sagar, then you have Omkareshwar, then you have Sardar Sarovar. These are 4 big water bodies using the same water, generating it 4 times energy for me. This gives me a lot of flexibility in taking care of my peaking load requirement. So as and when I have to run it, I run it at the full speed. And as and when I get an opportunity of selling it in the market, I do that. So as to compensate. If you see, I am on a day-to-day basis, as of today, I am selling about 15 to 20 crores worth power to different states. Now this is a huge amount. 600 crores getting in 1 month itself is a big revenue collection for me. So these are the initiatives that we have taken to ensure that we are minimizing the tariff for our people, to make our industry attractive, to make to be able to supply the subsidized power to them, and in the same breath making sure that the power is the cost is reduced, so the burden on the individual is minimized. We are trying to work on all the aspects of energy management and energy requirement. And finally, it is pumped hydro storage that we are looking at. So as and when we keep on adding the capacity. So we are developing one pumped hydro storage, 1440 megawatt. The groundbreaking ceremony was scheduled on 21st, but now it would happen this week. And we hope that by 2 years, we would have 1440 megawatt of pumped hydro storage capacity in Madhya Pradesh. And then we are already live with 16,000 megawatt of pumped hydro storage bids, which is the largest and the highest capacity in any state, which we have identified and have floated the tenders. Hopefully they will get closed in a 10-15 days time, and we should be in position to award these sites to different bidders. So that is a kind of planning that we have done, that we will keep on adding on the potential, which is 20 gigawatt that we are looking at for our renewable energy sources. But simultaneously, we will also see that we have sufficient potential for pumped hydro storage, so that our overall dependency on RE becomes really possible and we are able to schedule it.
So, sir, we would like to learn about some of the key initiatives of the Energy Department for transforming the state of Madhya Pradesh into a new energy hub, and what leads to the roadmap of new energy in the state for long term, maybe 10 years or 15 or 20 years down the line. We believe that there must be a roadmap plan for it. So, we want to understand a little bit about that.
So I think when most of these questions have been answered, but let me try and repeat it, that yes, we are looking at 20 gigawatt of renewable energy sources getting generated over the period of time. So how it happens is essentially there are projects in bidding stage, there are projects in commissioning stage, there are projects which are being the lands are being identified and the survey is being done. There are projects where transaction advisory services are being taken. So they are all like, we have a continuous pipeline of these projects at a different stage. So you would see that by the end of this financial year, we would have 1500 megawatt of solar energy generating plants getting commissioned in Agar, Shajapur and Neemach of our state. Then another 278 megawatt of floating solar getting commissioned by March this year. Another 300 megawatt in the same water body in Omkareshwar is already on a bid, so that would come through. And as I've told you that there are another pipeline of hydro projects. So what we are looking at is that we have a continuous identification of these project potential sites, and we continue to grow in that direction, that we achieve that requirement and see to it that it is with the energy security and energy sustainability.
So, sir, if you could just identify for us a few of the sites where these, fresh capacities or expansions are taking place, or the expansions are planned for renewable energy projects.
So Morena is one site which is 1440 megawatt of hybrid energy source, solar, wind, and the bid is structured in such a way that wind can be established anywhere. Through ISTS, they have to bring in. They have to have sufficient storage. What we are saying through this bid, that we require RE-RTC power, renewable energy, round the clock energy. So, and with 85% of guarantee that the power will be scheduled to us, with 70% certainty of scheduling it during the evening and morning peaks. So what we have structured is, this is my requirement, now you have to bid out of it. And we will provide the land for solar, we will provide the evacuation infrastructure for the solar. We have already identified, taken possession of it, the structuring is done. So that is another thing. Then we have identified 5,000 hectares of land in Dhar district, where we already have wind potential there. So there also we are working on it. Then there is another district called Sagar and Chhatarpur, where we are working for a solar and wind potential. So there are multiple areas that we are working on simultaneously to see that we are able to achieve those.
So, sir, recently MP launched the first solar city of India, that is Sanchi. So, a big congratulations to your department, to your team for that. So, sir, we would like to learn that what are the key takeaways from that for the other states, or maybe some of the key suggestions you would like to, give to the other states for, coming up with solar cities. As we know that Government of India announced close to 26 solar cities. Government of India announced 26 cities to be converted into solar cities, and Sanchi was one of them. And Sanchi is the first solar city which was launched on September 6th this year. So, any suggestions that what other states could do? What MP did, and they can, match up to the vision of central government's vision of solar cities.
So one thing is that the selection of the city itself should have been done properly, and I don't have any reason to doubt capabilities of any state. But if you're taking a very large city, it's always very difficult to take care of the consumption requirements and to balance that with the RE potential. So one is the selection of the city itself. The second is that in urban area right now you don't have a virtual net metering where you have a CFA approach. So the cost of having a solar generation or a wind generation plant goes little up. So you have to be very careful of ensuring that how you are structuring the project. The third one is you have to identify how much solar energy can be generated within the city. You can't have a plant established 500 kilometer away and you say that I am resourcing that power from there and hence I can declare the city as a solar. By that definition, almost every city, big city in Madhya Pradesh is already solarized, solar city. So that is not. So you have to also see where you can have the potential of the solar or wind within the city limits if possible, and if not in the city, as close as possible to. So I will not name cities, but there are cities who have announced that they will become solar cities, but they are establishing their solar parks far, far beyond their city limits. Now, by that definition, I'm already solar, so I don't have to do anything. So let us be realistic about it. If we are saying this, we have to take care of 100% of our consumption. Whatever is the number of units that a city is consuming as of now, and not only for the present, but 10 years hence. You can't say that today I am taking care of the consumption, but tomorrow if the population grows or the city outgrows, then you are again back to not being a solar city. So, to my knowledge, to my understanding, solar city is one which takes care of 100% of your units consumed in the city getting generated through a renewable energy source. So, what we did in Sanchi is we had solar, we had wind, we have decentralized solar generation off grid with a storage, which is generally for public utilities, and also on a consumption reduction in consumption by e-vehicles, by other mechanisms. So the idea is that, and also the urja saksharta. So you minimize or reduce the consumption. You also make sure that e-vehicles and other vehicles are used so that you are not generating more carbon. And we are not resting on this. We are saying that we are going to develop the first net zero city in the country. Now, in net zero, most of the people would use it this term very loosely. We will become net zero. Half of them will not even know what does it entail by being a net zero. So net zero is essentially scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. When you're taking care of your energy requirement alone, you are only taking care of your scope 2 requirement. You are not taking care of scope 1 and scope 3. Scope 1 is essentially where you have to take care of all your other requirements. And scope 3 is also about the other requirements. So if you are using a toothpaste or a pencil, whatever energy it has consumed to become a pencil from a wood and a graphite is what you have to ensure that it is generated or generated by renewable energy source. So in Sanchi, we have established 3 megawatt. We are already in the process of commissioning 5 megawatt, which will get commissioned by the end of next month in October. So we will have, instead of 3 megawatt, though the requirement is only 3 megawatt, we are commissioning 8 megawatt. What we are doing, this 5 megawatt will take care of all the agricultural requirements. So we have taken care of your daily consumption, we have taken care of your energy requirement for agriculture, and then we are looking at creating sinks, because this carbon generation needs to be taken care of by the sink. So we already have a river there, and we have a forest coverage, and the remaining forest coverage is being developed. So what we are saying is we will take care of scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 to become a net zero city. And what we hope is that another 3 to 4 years, when the plants grow to that height where they are able to absorb carbon, and we can say that we have sequestered all this carbon, is a time that we will declare the net zero city. And by that time, we will have all these plants already running, the consumption going down per capita basis, and we have this forest and a water body to take care of working as a sink. So and that is where we have involved IIT KATE to do an independent analysis and suggest us that yes, is it the right way of approaching this, and if it is the right way, or if there is any changes that need to be done, you have to independently certify that yes, we have achieved that level of net zero. So we are open to our thing, and we are saying that we are not the ones who would claim that to be a net zero. Let there be independent agencies who say that yes, we have achieved this. So that is how we are working on this.
So are we also expecting some more solar cities coming up in a tenure of 10 years maybe from now?
Certainly, we are not looking at 10 years for solar cities to come up. We are looking at another 2 years to have some of the cities like Odisha, Omkareshwar. The work has already started in terms of doing the analysis survey and the potential requirement.
So we believe that like there are a lot many states which are going towards adopting new energies such as low carbon hydrogen, green hydrogen, then battery energy storage. A lot of work is being going on in the country by different states, by different industry stakeholders across varied locations in the country. So we believe that MP is also following the same footprints. So if at all there are some strategic plans in place for developing new energies in MP, so could you please help us understand some of those initiatives or insights of the strategic initiatives that have been planned so far for developing new energies?
So we have come out with the RE policy, which incentivizes establishment of hydrogen manufacturing. It also ensures manufacturing capabilities for renewable energy sources, which includes your uh, panels or ingots or cells being manufactured. And by the way, we are the only state which have won this PLI scheme of Government of India, where Government of India is giving 400 crores for setting up of manufacturing base for renewable energy equipments. So the work is already started. The developers have been identified. They have been given the piece of land. The energy requirements is being ensured by the department. So the idea is that we have given incentives in terms of cheap land being made available, in terms of giving the exemptions from assess and duty, electricity duty and electricity cess. We have also been able to give them the incentives of not charging certain things, reimbursement of SGST taxes and other things. So all of this stamp duty reimbursement, and as you keep on adding, so it's if it is purely renewable energy generation, then there are certain set of incentives. If you are going to have an storage with it, you have additional incentives for that. If you are going with the manufacturing also, they have additional sources of. So one is that we are incentivizing through the policy. However, we also understand that we have a handicap. Hydrogen generation, to our knowledge, is going to happen first in the transportation sector and essentially in the ship transportation sector. For that, you need to have a port with you, so that you are consuming, because you need a lot of water, you need green energy, and then you need the consumption base, because transportation is the costliest part of hydrogen. So if you are transporting in a pressurized container, the cost of containers goes up. If you are doing it through pipeline, and there is another additional cost that gets involved in it. So if you have consumption and generation at the same location, that is where the chances are that you would be the most competitive in this. So I don't want to comment upon it, but I am very clear in this that to have a hydrogen policy is a good thing, and we should not disincentivize this. But to compete with the states which have a potential of consumption, we are doing a wrong thing. It's like saying that Jharkhand has a lot of coal mines, so I will incentivize industry to set up a plant here, and they will overlook that there is a pit head plant which will generate that energy very cheaply. So if I am doing that foolhardy thing, I think I am not doing the right step, because I may have a hydrogen potential, but if it is costly, I will not be competitive. If I am not competitive, no investor is coming and going to establish it. The second thing which is more important is for green hydrogen to be there, you have to have a storage capacities, because banking will be required. You can't have a generation round the clock. Banking cost as of now is costly. I am looking at that particular time when I will enter into this market, when I see that there is a potential and it has become competitive. I have a lot of consumption in the fertilizer sector. I am looking at that I will not use hydrogen, but I'll use ammonia. So I am not in that race of generating hydrogen. I am in the race of generating ammonia, and say that, look, I have a lot of fertilizer requirement. Why can't I supply it to it? My transportation cost goes down. I have a grid which has sufficient margin to work as a banking grid. I have already incentivized that by coming out with the policy for banking. So that is already their transparent mechanism. So the idea is that don't go in that area where you are not competitive. Don't try to compete with the states which have a better potential. Odisha will be ahead of us in terms of consumption, but they don't have the capability of say, and please don't quote the states, but what I am saying is that if the states don't have a banking facility available, they will not be able to supply RE power, green. So how does it become green hydrogen if you don't have those capacity? So states would have to think beyond creating policies. The buzz that is getting created, that we have created hydrogen policy, perfectly fine. From where some of the states are going to resource the water? For 1 liter of hydrogen, they require 9 liters of water. From where are you getting this 9 liter water? And it is pure, by the way, fresh, pure water. Do you have that kind of a potential? The energy loss that you do during hydrogen conversion is approximately around 60%. So what you are getting is efficiency is 40%. So you have to build in all these things into it before you come out and say that, yes, I want to do hydrogen, hydrogen. It's a good work, we should follow, but then we have to be not oblivious of this fact that you have to be competitive.
So a lot of discussion so far we have done regards energy generation, new energy generation, then energy evacuation. I mean, you provide valuable insights about, I mean, how MP is planning for, I mean, scaling up the power evacuation infrastructure as well, because it's not only about generation. I mean, if you don't have a, you know, subsequent infrastructure in place, how you're going to, I mean, supply the power from the source of generation. So, I mean, a lot of insights you have provided in these regards. So, we would like to learn more about manufacturing now. That, if at all, there are some strategic plans in place that has been taken into consideration by, I mean, your esteemed department for encouraging manufacturing facilities, setting up of new manufacturing or maybe manufacturing facilities in the state per se, renewable energy or new energy. For example, maybe setting up manufacturing units for solar power equipment such as wafers, modules, or maybe ingots, or maybe panels, or you know, regards, I mean, manufacturing of WTG, or if I have to talk about the hydrogen space, maybe electrolyzers, if we are looking at. So, any developments happening at the, I mean, manufacturing and encouraging manufacturing in the state?
We already have wind turbine manufacturers in Madhya Pradesh, and they are very big names. And they are doing it for our own internal consumption and also supplying it to the other parts of the world. So, as far as manufacturing of wind turbines are concerned, it's already there, and they are ramping up their capacities also. Right. For solar manufacturing, I had mentioned that PLI scheme we have won. We already have industry interest. They have been given the letter of award to start commissioning that industry. So we would have solar cells manufacturing and the panel manufacturing getting established in Madhya Pradesh. We already have that in place. And there are a lot of incentives that the industry department and the cabinet grants to these manufacturing units. And we are also open that in case there are further more people who are interested in setting this up, we'll continue to give them that kind of a benefit. Obviously, again, despite having given all kinds of incentives, the industry would weigh on the cost benefit analysis, and wherever they will feel that it is good for them to have a shareholders value, they would establish it. So there are inherent challenges that you have to take care, because we are landlocked cities. So the export, still we depend upon these modules to come, these ingots to come from other parts of the world. Yes. And because of which there is a challenge. Lithium for the battery again has to be resourced from outside the country. So all of this being at the coastal areas makes it much more easier for them to do it. There are challenges, and we want to overcome those challenges by our policy initiatives, and that is why we are offering some more initiatives or the policy incentives which other states are not following it. So the idea is that we will like to become competitive, but ultimately it is the industry which has to take a call as to whether they find it conducive for them to establish their industry in this space.
So, sir, thank you so much for being so patient and, you know, answering all our queries. I mean, so very well. Thank you so much for providing a well-rounded 360-degree insights about MP's vision for transforming the energy sector. So, sir, finally, do you have any message for the industry stakeholders? I mean, telling them that how MP is an, you know, attractive location for them to invest here, to set up their you know, new plants, be it solar energy, be it wind energy, or for the ones who are looking opportunities across the hydrogen value chain. So, any message for the clean energy, or we can say green energy, I mean, value chain players?
Fortunately, I don't have to give a message to anybody now, because they are all convinced that Madhya Pradesh is an important destination and is the most attractive destination for the simple reason that the policies have been so much more favorable. And we have been, I would say, extra careful and cautious in ensuring that whosoever comes to Madhya Pradesh goes back with the fond memories in terms of the environment that is given, in terms of the facilitation that is provided, in terms of the support that industry requires. So, right from removal of encroachments to taking care of evacuation infrastructure problems, ROW issues, local issues, providing approaches, connecting with the authorities, getting the clearances, getting the licensing, all of this is getting facilitated by us. So it's not as if that we just bid it out, give it out, and then we leave it to them to do whatever they need to do. So the idea is that we have been very, very proactive in giving support to the industry. And this is not that we are saying, it can be vouched for. As I've told you, whether you are talking about generation, we don't have any liabilities in terms of making the payments. If you talk about the support that the industry requires for establishing their generation capabilities, again, nobody, and I'm saying that every player is here, nobody can say that the state has not been forthcoming and proactive in giving them the support. In fact, at times we bother them, "Aapne ye nahi kiya. Why are you not doing this? Come on." So that is the kind of support that we are giving.